Can you talk about going into the season? The one of the biggest questions was who's going to play center. How are you guys going to get production at that spot? And now you guys have a real nice three-pronged attack that's really been effective this season. Can you talk about that?
Well, we didn't, like a lot of the positions, I think there's some competition, and a little bit of depth. And I think Dallin setback with the injury, slowed him down a little bit. And then Marco obviously breaking his hand. We went through a pretty rigorous point of the season, 5-6 weeks of practice where we didn't have enough bigs in practice. So you saw Henna as a 5 and you saw J.O. as a 5, and those guys were taking 95% of our reps in practice. And I think they may have gotten wore down, looking back on it, asking both of those guys to play as much as they did, not so much in the games, but in the practices. And Dallin getting back healthy, and now Marco should be completely cleared today with the splint off of his hand, is really going to give us, there'll be 4 guys that are getting after it. And I think at this point in our season, teams are getting bigger as well. So we'll probably, the timing is good to have that position be a little bit more whole. And it's interesting, but we've got it's a little bit of a, not counting Marco because he hasn't had a chance to get back in the mix, but it's a little bit of a 3-headed center. Kind of reminds me of the days when I was with the Bulls where they had, Longley and Purdue and some guys that each had their strengths. I think J.O. is extremely skilled offensively and provides you a back-to-the-basket post threat. His defense is improving and his rebounding is improving, and I think Dallin may be on the other end of that spectrum, is a lot more about energy and power and less refined in terms of some skills. And then, Henna's been a guy that's really cerebral and in the right spot, skilled, can shoot and pass. And so a little bit of it's been dependent on who we're playing and what we're looking for, what we need in the game. And they, for the most part, they've improved here the last couple weeks. We're getting a lot more production out of them, and we're trying to figure out ways to throw them the ball some more. And it's important for our perimeter guys to know that we're not going to go very far in this league as we move forward unless we can get those guys engaged and get them more productive.
Larry, now that you're a couple out days emotionally away from that BYU game, have you had a chance to break down the film and see what really made the difference? Obviously, you hit some shots early and played good defense, but as you broke things down, what really worked and how were you able to maintain that lead all the way through?
Well, I think it was not something as I look at the film that became more complicated. It was we had a group of guys that played really, really hard, and we held them to 6 points in transition, which nobody's come close to at this point in the season. But our focus, first and foremost was defense. And we did it collectively where we had a lot of guys back and showed them our numbers so that they didn't have penetration angles and weren't able to score early. And then I think, we had some personnel tendencies that were key to making sure we tried to take some of the strengths away from them, got, things that guys wanted to do. And, that was first and foremost. I think they had 5 points. It was quite a ways into the game, and I looked up and they still had 5 points. So you can talk about making our shots and doing all that. We were committed to playing defense, and that we were able to get a lead because the shots were going in. And, did a nice job. We had a nice assist-to-turnover ratio. We out-rebounded them. All those little things, I think, at the end of the day added up into a victory, and we were committed more than anything, I think, to getting some stops. And that makes the game easier on the offensive end.
Larry, can you talk a little more about the atmosphere that was at the BYU game? I know after the game you were flashed the fans of you and got emotional and then got into it. How helpful will that be if you could get that in Pac-12 play? Is that a big addition to have, obviously?
It'd be unbelievable, Dirk. It'd be unbelievable. I not to get off on a tangent, but as a back in the good old days when I played in college, that was one of the funnest things was playing in Missoula. We had such a great home crowd, and some avid fans, and I love being a part of college basketball because I think that's what it's all about. You know, if you, NBA is one thing, but you go, you know, you get into the playoffs, that's kind of that fever pitch, but it's hard to find. And you know, when the Muss gets it cranked up and our band gets it cranked up, and we can come out to that kind of environment, that's my wish for our. I want our guys to be able to enjoy the same kind of college experience that I did, and that was one of my best memories. Is just some of those home crowds. So, you know, watching that group of students come out and support us, I think it got contagious in the arena with some of the rest of. I've always said that I feel like the student section is the heartbeat of any arena. And you know, it was unbelievable seeing those three sections in red. And you know, my hope is that a number of those folks will come back and help us here to the remaining games. I think we've got 11 more home games, and you know, maybe they enjoyed the product and the experience, and will come back and help us, because that's all the hours that the guys are putting in. You know, weight room and study halls and all the other things that go into it. It's really nice to know that there's, you know, a group of fans that want to come out and support them, and to me that's their reward for a lot of the hard work.